Once I have mastered e-commerce, once I mastered like my art of dropshipping, I realized that I'm somewhat morally obliged to help as many people as possible.
Totally.
The second I realized that like I want to change 1 million lives, instead of make $1 million, like ironically, that's when I started making more money.
Maxim Trubitski is in the house. He's straight from where do you live again?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Okay, so on Friday Feels, you know, we all want to create lives that we love, and part of it is scaling our business so that we can have fabulous lives, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So you help people. You're an entrepreneur. You help people in business scale their lives. It's amazing. You're very young to be doing this.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, if I didn't have so much experience with my own business, I wouldn't have like transitioned into being a business coach, into a consultant. Because like the second I realized that like I want to change 1 million lives, instead of make $1 million, like ironically, that's when I started making more money.
I love that.
So,
it's such a great shift in sales. It's a big
yeah.
shift. So what does that look like? What was your why? Was there a moment for you, or what had you say, I want to touch 1 million lives?
So before I even knew anything about business, I knew that I had to make money, and it was basically out of necessity because, like I mentioned earlier, my parents immigrated from the Ukraine, and they incurred a lot of debt, and I really wanted to put I have a twin brother as well. I wanted to put my entire family into a better situation. So it started off from just like 4 or 5 hours a day, just pure self-education. But then I quickly realized that even though I'm a kid, I could still start making money now and still start like impacting my life for the better. But then obviously, like once I have mastered e-commerce, once I mastered like my art of dropshipping, I realized that I'm somewhat morally obliged to help as many people as possible.
Totally, right? It's so important.
So how young were you when you first decided, I'm going to go into business for myself, I'm going to make this happen?
I was 15 years old.
15.
My first ever business was modeling management, ironically.
Really?
Yeah, and
It's a good business to be in.
Wait, you were managing models?
yeah, basically. And I was just sitting brainstorming, and I'm like, what does every single kid, like, how do they feel? And I realized that a lot of them want to become models. A lot of them are somewhat confident, especially in Brooklyn. And all I did was invest $80 into a little studio, and I'm like comparing my studio to this one. This one's much better. And I started just building out a social media. And the two skills that I kind of learned from that first business was, one, just mastering social media. I grew quickly to 20,000 followers, and I was just getting clients from my Instagram DMs, and I was just inviting them over to the house, the studio. And the second one was just people skills. I don't know if like my employees like just liked me, or if I was good with like them socially, but I was paying my photographer $10 a photo shoot. My makeup artist was doing it for free. So I told all my friends that I'm gonna make $10,000 for this summer, and everyone laughed at me. But then I ended up making $2,000. So like that always like leads me to say that like always shoot for the stars, and if you miss, it's okay because like you'll land among the stars. I mean among the moon. Yeah.
I love it.
that.
Absolutely.
I love that.
So then where did you go from the model management? So you had that business, and then what?
So then I transitioned into my own clothing brand, and I invested like $1,500 into inventory, and then that was a huge mistake, but obviously I lost $1,300 in inventory because we only made $200 in sales. I still have the boxes sitting in my house of like the clothing that I bought. I was supposed to sell it to like all the kids in my schools. And then because of that, I learned about dropshipping, where you actually don't need to have an inventory. You could actually just, as soon as you get a sale on your own online store, you could ship the product straight to your customers. So because of that mistake, I was able to go into dropshipping. And as soon as I learned about dropshipping, I'm like, this is the gold mine, and it's just a matter of time before I master it.
Wow.
Fantastic.
It's like the mindset of just never giving up. And I think that's the entrepreneurial spirit, is that you've got that creative factor, but then you've also got to have the determinism no matter what, and looking at like any failure is actually a gain. So what do you say to people, because so many people are afraid of failing, and a lot of coaches they go to fail, because there's lessons in that. What do you say to somebody that's afraid of failing?
100%, before you even go into a business, you should always learn off other people's mistakes and not your own, because it's much cheaper that way. You'll save a lot of time, you'll save a lot of money. And obviously when you do go into it, especially like there's so many students that I have which are young kids as well, even if they're in their 20s, we make mistakes, it's completely fine. So again, like just learn the skills and just move on to the next business and just follow the money.
Right.
That's like my
Follow the money.
that has been my entire path. Like how did I end up becoming a business coach?
Right.
Because I was following where the most money is.
So tell people, if they come and work with you, what does that look like?
So it starts off, I always recommend all my students now who I help become consultants as well. So ironically, I not only help students become dropshipping masters, I also help as many people as possible. And I always start off just with one-on-ones, right? One-on-ones, and then I shortly realized that there's only a certain amount of people that I could reach. And that led me to like online courses, to YouTube, to providing as much value on my Instagram as possible. Because with my one-on-ones, I didn't stop working with these students until they reached some type of success. But at the same time, I had so many people contacting me saying that, like, oh, when are you going to open up applications and all of that to work with you?
Yeah, makes sense. We do one-on-ones and then we scale to membership, and it's very typical for the online world. Well, it's amazing. So tell people where they can work with you, where they can find you.
So if you just go on Instagram, maxim.trubitski, Trubitski, and then the same thing on YouTube, the same thing on Facebook, and the same thing, just Google me and they'll find my social media.
I love that. Absolutely. Where Brooklyn at, man?
It's important to have financial freedom for people. It gives people a lot. So thank you so much for all your work for everybody.
Thank you guys.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.